spongy, and it wasn't my shoe. And I touched it. I'm breaking out in hives. All right. You guys ready? All right. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray you would help us to focus and that we'd have a lot of fun tonight and that your word would go forth in power. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. So last night we learned about truth and about the fact of what is truth. Can someone tell me what is truth? What is truth, Blaine? You weren't here last night. Okay, never mind.
What lines up with reality?
What lines up with reality? Very good. And there's two types of truth. What are they? Besides the pastor's kids? Eddie?
Oh, that O and then the S.
I'm really impressed with you with that. All right, Savannah.
Objective and subjective.
Objective and subjective.
Exactly.
Very good. Really good. All right, what is subjective truth?
It's like some,
Raise your hand.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead, David.
It's like sometimes or
No.
I was close.
Okay, Sammy.
Preference?
It's like preference, opinion. Very good. All right, what is objective truth?
Yes or no?
Yes or no? Very good. Here.
Yes.
Have a pen.
Yes.
All right, so.
Hey.
Hey, I asked for it.
He asked earlier. All right, so objective truth is yes or no. All right, and we learned we need to speak the truth in what?
Love.
That's perfect. All right, so why don't we go ahead and do our analogy that we did last night that was hilarious. Is there any strong men that would like to come up?
Like, put your hand
Really?
I'm an OP, come on. I'm Optimus Prime.
Alex said it. Okay, wait. Hold on, sit down. Sit down. All right.
The new kid. The new kid.
Either Alex or Gunnar. Which one do you guys want to do it?
I'm OP.
You Vino, he can't do one.
I'm OP. I'm strongest.
All right.
The new kid. Big Noah.
How much can you curl? Like you think like 100 pounds? Okay, good. Because he's only 60.
Curl me.
All right. So grab that.
Watch
All
me.
right. Sweet. Okay. All right. Really, what the whole point of this is to humiliate someone tonight. But all right. Okay. I'll spot you so you don't hurt your back. But okay. Let's see if you can just do one curl with 60 pounds. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll start. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. You can put it down. All right. Let's do this. Let's start a little lighter. Okay. You want to pull 5 pounds off that side?
I thought you said you could curl 100 pounds. That's 60.
Well, yeah, that's
so
play
You're my hero.
Yeah, that's
Can I get a dollar?
all right. I'll get that.
Every 100%.
All right.
No, I do tell you.
All right, go ahead and bring it up again. Lift with your knees, not your back. There you go. All right. Okay, let's see if you can do one. Let me slide this in. All right, go ahead. Nice, very good, very good. Okay, go ahead and set it down. We go right there. No. Yeah, like that. Okay, perfect. All right, so what we're gonna do, like I showed you guys last night, is we're gonna take weight off one side. I'm sorry. Don't let go.
We know you can
All right.
do this. Oh my god.
So now, theoretically, should it be easier with less weight?
No.
Yes.
Theoretically, right? Theoretically, with less weight, it should. Okay, go ahead and try to lift that now.
Theoretically.
Okay, very nice. All right, so what we're going to do here.
Very
That one
nice.
off.
Vito, that's
And
very
we're all
nice.
like,
It's gotta go down.
what the what? Whoa.
Vito didn't get less weight.
Come on, man. All right.
Why you preach that?
Don't move your hand. Put your hand where it's supposed to be. Right in the middle of those grips.
You can do it,
All right, now let's see if you can do one curl. Go ahead.
Oh,
Very nice, very nice. All right, so now let's see how much easier it is. Okay, go ahead and do one curl. You got it, go ahead. Oh, nice, good job. Okay, you put down the weight. All right. Okay, you can sit down. Give him a round of applause. What he doesn't know is he just lifted 200 pounds. No, just kidding. What's amazing about this is as you have different weights, is that if the weight is unequal, you'll find that it's much more difficult because you have the resistance that changes, and this is how it is with truth. When we talk to people, we need to be careful not just to use truth or not just to use love. There's people who just use love and they'll never say anything. Like, you've ever had that experience where you have something on your face and they love you too much not to say anything, right? It's not cool. Or you have people who have nothing but truth and they're like, why do you look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame? I'm like, dude, it's called the 90s. I slouched a lot, right? Or they'll say things like, dude, what's up with the giant zit on your face? And it's just like super harsh. And it feels like, okay, I'm going to go to my room now and cry for 10,000 years. Okay? So, usually junior high boys around the age of 6th grade are the worst at not knowing how to share the truth and love. Usually it's a lot of truth, not much love. But it's okay, guys. You'll get it one day. So, the truth and love. Now, last night I got ahead of myself and I didn't finish last night's session, so you have the joy of finishing last night's and then on top of the one that was supposed to be tonight. So, here we go. All right, we talked about subjective truth, objective truth. Now let's talk about belief versus truth. So we learned what is truth. It's a claim that matches up with reality. Now it's incredibly important to decipher the difference between belief and truth. Our beliefs cannot create reality. They can only acknowledge or deny truth. All right? You cannot create reality. For example, if I say, I'm going to go to the top of this building, go stand on the cross that's on the top of this building, I'm going to jump off, I'm going to fly. And you guys are like, yeah, right. I'm like, but I really believe it. And you know why I'm going to be able to do it is because, you know, I got a little bit extra of that flabby right here that's going to just really catch the air. And if I tuck it against my arms like this, and I'm super light, I got bird bones, you know. So I'm just going to jump. I believe it. And people told me I can do whatever I want. And I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Doesn't matter any time or day. I'm just going to set my sails and I'm going to fly away. So, you know, and so I'm going to go and I'm going to touch the sky and I'm going to fly. Now, it doesn't matter how sincere I am, how much I believe it. If it's not true, the consequences are going to hit. You can put your hand down. All right, so truth and belief are different, right? Belief and truth are different. Many people will say we have our different beliefs, but that's not the same as saying different truths. Does that make sense? We can all believe different things, but it doesn't make it true just because you believe it a lot. So what is a belief? It's the action of putting your trust in something or someone. Here's the catch. Is your trust is only as good as what you're putting your trust in. Okay? And that's what Truth Quest is all about. It's all about challenging you to think, is what I'm putting my life, my eternal destiny in, my future, worth trusting? And have I spent the time to think about it? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to have you guys help me out a little bit here. So, why do we place our trust in things? Why do we place our trust in anything? Do you have any answers? Eddie?
Because we believe in it. Dang it.
Oh, well, that doesn't really saying much at all, really, does it?
It says a lot.
I know. It's okay. I'm glad that you said something. That's all that matters. All right. So, no dumb answers here. What are some of the things that cause us to believe in something? Okay? What are some of the things that cause us to believe in something?
Because it's true.
Okay.
It sounds right.
Sounds right. Okay.
People say it's true.
Okay.
It's got great power.
All right. We believe it's true.
If you see it.
Okay, you see it? Let's think like what outside factors, okay? Let me give you like one, like parents, okay? Things like that. What are some reasons people believe things? Like a lot of people just believe some stuff because their parents told them to.
Friends.
Right? Okay, that's very good. Friends, what else?
Teachers.
Teachers. Okay.
My grandma. That's the same thing as parents.
No,
TV. They're just really old.
TV.
Brothers.
TV, okay, let's say TV, that's good.
Internet.
The Bible.
Internet.
The Bible.
The Bible. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Blaine.
Well, do you believe in things if they have like great power?
Okay. Power.
Yeah, power.
No.
Okay. Power. Sound. I heard someone say sounds right.
The people who tell the future. Legit.
If they're old people.
Okay. Any other things?
The people who tell the
Old people who think they know.
I heard someone said church, right? Because the church tells you to. Yeah, that's
What
good.
about what's
All right, what else?
called? Synagogues.
What else?
Synagogues.
Synagogues? Okay.
Synagogues.
All right.
Government.
Thanks for picking a word I don't know how to spell. Thank you.
I know spell
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not a spelling bee. It's okay. All right. Shh. What else? Why do people believe things? What causes us to believe the things we believe?
Because
Trust. That's kind of like yeah, trust. We trust in things.
Internet.
But what are the like influences that cause you to believe things?
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Wikipedia is not reliable. Wikipedia is not reliable.
All right. I'll start writing some stuff down.
It's gold Siri.
Serious.
Siri. Seriously.
Oh, you did? Sorry.
Look up an addiction.
Dictionary. Dictionary.
Whatever he.
Okay, Blaine, come back over here. All right, here we go. So, all right. Shh. Okay, do you guys see how I categorize them into different sections?
Yeah.
All right. People believe things for certain reasons. I would say the most powerful one is this one right here. Okay, meaning that you have parents that told you it, friends that told you it, culture tells you it. That's usually why we believe something. Okay, this is what we would call sociological. Okay, sociological reasons. Okay. The other one is like because it feels right, sounds right, makes me feel good, I like it. Those would be all psychological reasons, okay? All right, and then we have Bible, church. I guess you guys can figure that one out. That would be religious. And then lastly, we would have philosophical. Now let me ask you this. Out of all of these reasons to believe in something, which one is the best out of the four? Noah, which one?
Sociological.
Sociological, okay. What do you think, Alex?
It's just based on your opinion.
Okay.
True.
Okay.
Religious.
What?
Religious, okay.
Philosophical. Oh wait.
Okay.
Wait. Oh.
Okay.
Wait, were we
Anybody else?
supposed to- Wait, what? Were we?
All right, listen to this real fast, okay? Pay attention. Over in this area. All right. Sociological is not a good reason to believe something. Why? Parents, friends, teachers, TV, and culture can all be wrong.
Bias.
Right? And bias is another good word. Shh. Okay. Psychological, that doesn't matter because some things make me feel better than what I actually believe in. You know that? There are things that make me feel uncomfortable. Like one of the things that we're going to be talking about tomorrow night, which is the doctrine of hell. That's not something I like to believe in. Okay, it's not something I enjoy to believe in, but I believe in it for another reason. Okay? Religious is not a really good reason. Now, you see that the Bible is up there, but it follows because we know that the Bible is true. Okay? So, the best reason to believe something is because it's true. The best thing to believe anything is because it's true. Now, you can believe in your parents, your friends, teachers, TV, if it is philosophically sound. Does that make sense? Right? So you can't just take things at face value just because your parents said it, because I said it, because you heard someone just say it on TV. We need to have good reasons for believing what we believe. Why should we believe something? Once again, it's because it's true, to keep it really simple. All right. Waiting for my computer to respond. There we go. All right. Absolute truth is true, and this is absolute truth, meaning it's objective truth. Okay? It's true whether or not anyone believes in it, whether or not anyone follows it, whether or not it works the way we want it to, or whether or not we agree with it. Right? Something can be true and you don't like it, or you don't believe in it. Truth is independent of you, and you can't change it based on belief or if you like it. Truth is truth. Okay? Why is truth important? Can someone answer me that? Why is truth important?
Because lies are bad.
Okay, very good.
Because it'll affect the way we live.
Okay, good. Why is truth important? Why is it important to believe in truth? Okay, let me ask you this. Well, do you want the true answer or the false one?
False.
True one, right? Dr. Francis Beckwith, philosophy professor at Baylor University, had a very skeptical student in his ethics class who questioned everything he said. She was always challenging his conclusions. One day she said with an air of smugness, "Dr. Beckwith, why is truth important?" After thinking for a moment, he gave this reply. "Well, would you like the true answers or the false one?" This question silenced her because she realized a very profound point, that her very question assumed that there was truth. Okay? Without truth, we live in a world of tragedy. In 1846, a group of 86 people headed for California in the Western fever of the 1840s. They took a shortcut to save time, but the map they were using had false information. Caught in a vicious snowstorm for months, they were forced to cannibalism. And then you guys might know the story of the Donner Party, right? They had a map, it had false information, and it led them to tragedy. When you follow false ideas, they lead you to tragedy. Believing a lie can kill you. Truth is important because it's a compass for our lives. For example, think of a fighter pilot. Think about how fast they're going through space, spinning upside down all the time, doing all these different G's. They need to have instruments that work. See, truth is a compass for our lives. It shows us what's up and down, and it's where we live. Every morning you wake up believing that there is truth. Okay, it's really important. And the last thing is, truth has consequences. The problem with stretching the truth is it's apt to snap back. Imagine if you had a doctor who acted on false information when diagnosing a patient, right? I've heard about doctors who've operated on the wrong leg, who've taken out the wrong organs or whatever. That's horrible. They have false information and they act upon it. What about an engineer with the wrong compaction readings, or a judge who's presented with false evidence? Could send someone to prison for life if they don't have the truth. If we don't have the truth, it has consequences for our lives. And if you're following anything else but the truth, then there's going to be a major consequence. What I hope to accomplish for you guys is that you're willing to follow evidence wherever it may lead. That you're not willing to live a life because it makes you comfortable to believe in a lie. That rather you're like, man, I would rather believe in the truth because it's going to be the best thing for me. Okay? See, truth doesn't bend to the believer. There will always be truth for rejecting truth. So who determines truth? Well, someone who has the ability to create and has authority over it. And we know who fits that criteria, which is Jesus Christ. the denial of the truth. We've seen the Bible tell us that people suppress the truth in unrighteousness. They distort the truth in order to draw a following. They do not obey the truth. And they exchange the truth of God for the lie. So what we see is people replacing truth with a lie. Why would anyone want to replace truth with a lie?
Sometimes the truth can hurt.
Yeah, right? The truth is harder sometimes, isn't it? So it's better to you think it's better to live with a lie, but never true. So Jesus is truly the ultimate source of truth. Why is that? Because objective truth cannot be created. Subjectively created. It comes from the absolute person of Jesus Christ. It cannot be relative. It cannot change from person to person because Jesus Christ never changes. It cannot be equal to other truths. The truth of Jesus Christ cannot be equal to other truths because his claims were exclusive, as we learned in our first study today. All right? Let's see what we got here. Oh my gosh. The response of my computer is so slow. It's driving me crazy. All right. Oh man. Put the slide in there twice. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. I'm so sorry. Okay. So does truth exist? How many of you guys think truth exists? Good. Good deal. All right. A lot of people don't believe that truth is a real thing. They believe everything is relative. But then it comes down to the reality that if you say there is no truth, that is a self-destructing view. Here's some examples of self-destructing views. There is no truth. Is that statement true? Right? Someone says, "Is that there is no truth?" And you go, "Well, is that true?" You're like, "Yeah, it is." You're like, "Well, apparently there's truth." Right? There are no absolutes. Are you absolutely sure about that? No one can know any truth about religion. And how precisely did you come up to know that truth about religion, right? Okay, we can never know there's God. Well, how did you come to the knowledge that you can never know that there's a God? So that seems like you know something about God, right? Talking about God is meaningless. What does that say about this? What does this statement say about God mean? You can only know the truth through experience. What experience taught you that truth? Never take anyone's advice on that issue. Should I take your advice on that? I used to believe in, sorry about that. I used to believe in reincarnation, but that was in a former life. I don't believe in reincarnation. I believe in reincarnation. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. It's not crowded. It's crowded. Right? Think about that for a moment. No one goes there anymore. It's too crowded. So you're basically contradicting yourself in this.
No one goes there.
If I had an answer, I wish I had an answer to that because I'm tired of answering that question. I don't know the answer to that question. I know the answer to that question is basically what you're saying. Okay? I really didn't say everything I said. I did not say it. I did say it. Okay? I never repeat a word. Never. I don't repeat a word, but I just did. This page is intentionally left blank. This page is not blank. This page is not. This page is blank. This page is not blank. Right? Because the moment that you put this page is intentionally blank, and then you say that. Yeah. So, right? You are in rare form as usual. Your performance is rare. Your performance is not rare. Right? It's a self-contradiction. The terrorists have technology we don't even know about. We know about things we don't know about. Right? Okay? These are contradictory statements. And this is what we see when we say that there is no truth. Guys, you have to realize that the world has been blinded by the father of lies, and it's our job to rescue them. So, now we're going to get into an attitude of love. When you're presenting the truth, the reality is that people who don't believe in the truth, it's pretty much ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. I mean, some of the conversations I've had with people, I'm thinking, are you serious? How illogical can you get? How stupid can you be, really, is what I'm thinking. in those moments, but that's not love. And no one wants to actually talk to anybody like that. Instead, when someone is in error, we should show them love and be like, man, you are missing it. And be sad about it. And show them love and come alongside them. Be like, hey, I didn't want to tell you this. I know that there was a lot of people in front, earlier, but you got something on your face. Let me get it off for you, right? That's in love, okay? That's truth in love, okay? But here's some misconceptions and common mistakes when presenting the truth. Number one, not knowing the truth. That's our most common mistake, is we start talking about something we don't have a clue about. Anyone ever done that before? Yeah, it's always when I talk about sports, right? Like the other day, I posted about the Chargers almost getting Dominic Sue, whatever his name is, that horrible, evil football player, and I was like, no! And everyone's like, dude, that was like 4 weeks ago, right? So, you've ever been in that situation before, you don't know the truth, and you start acting like you know what you're talking about. And then some people believe that modern tolerance equals love. Tolerance, as we know it today, is not love. Or sometimes we're too distant or cold. We tell it, or just like we act like the people aren't even human. Or that we think the best thing I could do is just not say anything at all. Okay? That's not loving. It's not loving to keep your mouth shut. Okay? If someone is ready to walk off a cliff and they're blind, and you just say, the most loving thing to do is not interfere with their problems, right? That's not loving. The best thing you could do is tackle that blind person, right? And be like, you're about to die! And grab them. Possibly might hurt them, but you save their life, right? Okay, so let's look at the common most misconception, not knowing the truth. Not knowing what you're talking about will always make you compensate with personality, aggression, and misinformation. Let me say that again. Not knowing what you're talking about will always make you compensate with personality, aggression, and misinformation, right? When you get in a conversation with somebody and you don't agree with them, but you don't know what you're talking about, you start getting really mad, or you start trying to be really funny, or you try to tell them a story about your life. Or you start saying things that just aren't true. As it's been said before, preparing is caring, okay? Preparing is caring for people. You guys coming to Truth Quest this week, the best thing that you could possibly do is actually retain the information, because one day someone's going to ask you the question. For me, coming up to this, for me just to be like, oh, that's Truth Quest, I'll just go up there and tell a bunch of jokes and whatever, and just make you guys laugh. That's not caring about you. I need to give you guys the truth and love, because that's what you need the most, right? So, Proverbs 18:13 says, he who answers a matter before he hears it, it's folly and shame to him. It says in the NLT, spouting off before listening to the facts. Answering before listening is both stupid and rude, right? So, answering back before you know what you're talking about is so stupid, right? It's so dumb. You should know what you're talking about before you speak. That's the most loving thing you could possibly do. Now, does anyone know what this is?
Something to hit someone.
A cane? Yeah, cane. It's too short.
One.
Scepter.
Baseball bat.
What do you think it
It's
is?
a staff.
A staff, close.
Scepter.
It's a scepter. This is what kings have. My name means kingly, so it's so perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so here's my scepter. Now, a scepter was a way to judge people. Now, in the book of Esther, there was this story of a woman. Her name was Esther, and she was really pretty like me, and she won a beauty pageant, and so because she was so pretty, she got to marry the king. Okay, and so she married the king, and then but she finds out she secretly hid the fact that she was Jewish, and then there was this guy named Haman, and he comes up with this evil plan, and just imagine him to have a little goatee, and and he comes up with a plan, tricks the king, and he's going to put all the Jews to death. The king is now, because of the trick that Haman had pulled on him. Esther finds out about it, and she's going to go talk to the king. But the king hasn't called her to his chambers in a long time, so he hasn't, because the king has a big harem, meaning multiple wives and concubines. And so she hasn't talked to him for a while, but she wants to talk to the king about the situation. But if she goes before the king unannounced, she would be killed, right? So imagine that I'm the king, which is not too hard to imagine. And, my wife needed to come talk to me right now. But she has to come announced. I have to call her in and say that she just came in here right now, right? If I didn't raise my staff to stop my executioner, he would just kill her right there on the spot, even if she's the queen, right? So he would raise the scepter to say, hey, let me hear her out. And often we don't raise our scepter to say, hey, let me hear this person out. Let me hear all the facts before I jump into a matter. We need to make sure we have all the facts before we share the truth. In the case of Esther, if her husband wasn't listening to all the facts, her people would have been annihilated and killed. She would have been killed, and he would have lost his most loved wife. Okay? So we need to make sure we have all the facts now before we share the truth. This is a twofold danger. First, people will be afraid to say something because they don't know the truth. Research. Okay? You're never going to open your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about, right? But if you know what you're talking about, you're like, oh, sweet, right? I can't believe how many times where I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. And I was like, and you're just waiting for the other person to stop. Like, actually, right? And you share whatever you know, which is actually kind of arrogant. But at the same point, it's really cool to know what you're talking about. Secondly, people might be afraid to share with confidence. Research. Fear can temper our tone, right? Lack of knowledge or misinformation can create fear, arrogance, or hopelessness. Okay, the other type of misconception or common mistakes when presenting the truth in love is that modern tolerance equals love. And I use the term modern tolerance because modern tolerance is not the true definition of tolerance. For hundreds of years, we had another definition of tolerance, and our culture has changed the definition of tolerance. We're going to talk about this a little bit later tonight, too. So, we need to show love, not tolerance. We need to show love, not tolerance. You're like, well, are they the same thing? Well, yeah, sort of, but love is much harder. Tolerance says you must approve of what I do, right? That's common tolerance. You must be okay with me marrying a bunny. If I want to marry a bunny, then you need to accept it, right? And I'm in love with a bunny, and we are going to be married forever, okay? You must accept what I do. But love is really, it's a lot harder. I must do something harder. I'll love you even when your behavior offends me. So it's when you're like, hey, I know that you want to marry a bunny, but listen, I'm going to love you anyway. You can still come over. You can still eat dinner with me. I'm not going to shun you, okay? Tolerance says you must agree with me, right? Love is something a lot harder. I will do something harder. I will tell you the truth because the truth will set you free. It's not loving just to agree with somebody when they're wrong. You need to tell them when they're wrong. You must allow me to have my way. I will do something harder. I will plead with you to follow the right way because you are worth the risk. Tolerance seeks to be inoffensive. Love takes risks. Tolerance costs you nothing. You know that? Love costs everything. I know this. I really do. I experience it all the time in my life. Tolerance is like, you know what? I'm just cool with everyone doing your own thing. Oh, it's okay. Love's like, man, I'm going to do everything I can to invite as many kids I can to Truth Quest. I'm going to work as hard as I can on the messages and make it as awesome as possible and tell them where they're wrong and then be excited and encourage them where they're right. You know? That's love. Tolerance is just like, yeah, I'll let teenagers do whatever they want. They want to go party, if they want to go, get married to 6 people, whatever, whatever is your deal, that's your deal. If you want to, do drugs, alcohol, whatever. But for me, I know that when you follow those lies and live those kind of lives, that there's consequences for you. And so I really want to share the truth with you. The myth of tolerance. Now, what's the definition of tolerance? The ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular, the existence of opinions or behaviors that one does not necessarily agree with. The tolerance of corruption, an advocate of religious tolerance. If If we reject another's idea or behavior, we're automatically accused of rejecting the person and of being disrespectful. But I want to tell you guys something. We have a tolerant God. I don't know if you know this, but God is tolerant. By God giving us free will, allowing you to choose what you want to do with your life is tolerant. The fact that you haven't been killed yet is tolerant for the things that you have done, right? As a sinner. God, it says in Romans chapter 2, verse 4, or do you despise the riches of his goodness, forbearance, and long-suffering, not knowing the goodness of God that leads you to repentance? That word there, where it says forbearance, that means tolerant. It means to put up with. God is putting up with the world. Think about this for a second. God knows every single person's mind, every single person's thoughts, every person's sin, and yet he allows the world to exist. He sees when people are murdered. He sees when people are rejected. He sees when people are bullied. And he allows people to continue on living. Now, let me ask you, is that tolerant? How many of you guys think yes? Yes? No? I think it's yes. I think it's tolerant. He's willing to put up with it. But as we'll be looking at tomorrow, the question of why does God allow evil and suffering, we'll look into that more later. But it shows that God is not willing that anyone should perish. And he waits before he judges. All right. I need somebody's help up here. Someone who's really good with the measuring tape. Someone that's really good with the measuring tape. Your face is amazing, Blaine. All right, Blaine, come up.
I was quiet. I was quiet.
I think you already helped me last night.
No, I didn't.
I said Blaine.
No, I didn't.
All right.
Don't trip, Blaine. Don't trip.
All right. Okay. Take this end of the tape. Just hold it. All right. I didn't say walk. I said hold it. All right, there we go. All right, so how many of you guys know the story about the Great Flood? Not the one that you saw with Russell Crowe, okay? But the story of the Great Flood. It says in Genesis 5:21-24, Enoch lived 65 years and got Methuselah. And after Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. And so all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Now, Enoch, we learned in the book of Jude, was a prophet. Okay? Enoch was Noah's grandpa. Methuselah lives for 969 years. Okay? All right. Let's like this. All right. So let's say that this is the beginning of Enoch's life. Keep walking a little bit. All right. And keep walking. Stop. All right. So, there's Enoch's life. Where that sticky note right there is when Enoch becomes a prophet, okay? And then we have 200 years, okay, of him prophesying, okay, that there's going to be a flood, there's going to be destruction, all this, okay? And then, keep walking. And then we have for 969 years. It's possible. All right, wait, come back a little bit. Just a little bit. All right about there. Okay, and then we have, at this point, Methuselah, the end of his life. Do you know what happened the year that Methuselah died? Anybody know? The flood came. All right. Now, look from sticky note point 1 to sticky note point 2 and realize how long God waited to judge the world with the flood. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like God waited a really long time. Now you're like, yeah, like 6 feet long? No, 969 years long. Okay, you can put this down. All right. So, God waited 969 years before he judged the world. 969 years. That, to me, is a God of tolerance. Right? So we find out he's a prophet. He's telling them. So almost 1,000 years. All right? It tells us that God warned them. God warned them. Guys, we should be tolerant, but we should be telling the truth at the same time, okay? Now, I want to tell you guys about true tolerance that's been lost in the last 100 years. there's this thing called civic tolerance. It says that all views should get a courteous hearing, not that all views have equal worth, merit, or truth. To argue that some views are false, immoral, or just plain silly does not violate any meaningful standard of tolerance. Correct? All right. I don't believe that in this country we should say Christianity as a government is the only thing you can believe in, and that you get thrown in prison if you believe in Islam, you get thrown in prison if you're a Mormon, you get thrown in prison if you're a Jehovah's Witness or whatever, right? I don't think that is what we should do. I think we should be tolerant of other religions. But at the same time, I think that we should discuss the different views, and I'm going to tell people when they're wrong, and that's okay. I have no problem with people that come up to me and they say, I think you're wrong. And then I say, I'm okay with that. Why do you think I'm wrong? And when they have reasons, man, that's refreshing to hear people who can speak and tolerate each other and put up with each other's attitudes and conversation. And that's true civic tolerance, where we can listen to each other's views, okay? Well, some people say, you shouldn't force your morality on me. Or who are you to say? Have you ever heard that before? Right? You shouldn't force your morality on me. Well, let's get back to the skeptic and then epic beard man, which looks just like me. The next picture is a picture of me a couple years ago. So, you shouldn't force your morality on me. Why not? Because I don't believe in forcing morality. If you don't believe in it, then by all means don't do it. Especially don't force that moral view of yours on me. You see how that works?
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't force your morality on me. I'm not entirely what you mean by that statement. Do you mean that I have no right to an opinion? You have a right to your opinion, but you have no right to force it on anyone. Is that your opinion? Yes? Then why are you forcing it on me? Because you're saying that only your view is right. Am I wrong? Yes. Is that your view? Yes. Then you are saying only your view is right, which is the very thing you're objecting to me saying. You see how that follows? All right? Don't push your morality on me. Why? You don't believe in morality? Sure, but I believe in my morality, not yours. Well then, how do you know what's moral? I think people should decide individually. That's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm deciding you're immoral. What's the problem? Live and let live is your value, not mine. Right? You shouldn't push your morality on me. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding here, but it sounds to me like you're telling me I'm wrong. You are. Well, you seem to be saying my personal moral view shouldn't apply to other people, but that sounds suspiciously like you are applying your moral view to me. Why are you forcing your morality on me? Okay? So the next time someone says, you shouldn't force your morality on anybody, you know what they're doing? Forcing their morality on you. Okay? Because the view of not forcing morality on anybody is a moral point. Okay? So, there was this rapper who a lot of people know. His name's Tupac, or Tupac, as I used to call him. Right? And Tupac had this song that changed our culture completely because it misquoted the Bible. And it said that only God can judge me. Is that right? Only God can judge me now. Only God, baby. Nobody else. Nobody else. All you others can get out of my business, right? He said that only God can judge me. And then that's something that people say all the time. And they'll say, it's the only verse people know, right? The idea that judge not lest you be judged. You know? And that's what people say all the time. It's like the only Bible verse. Like I remember on MySpace back in the day. I feel so old right now. But back when I started youth ministry, there wasn't Facebook. It was MySpace. And on kids' MySpace, they would have that all the time. You know? It was like the only verse. Matthew 7:1. Only God can judge me. Well, is that true? In Matthew 7, verses 1 through 6, says this. Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with what measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and look, a plank is sticking in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you into pieces. Listen, you can judge people to have discernment, but you can't judge their hearts or motives. It's like this. Have discernment about people, but don't judge why they do things, right? You can judge what people, their actions, you can judge them as wrong, but don't judge why they might be doing that. Does that make sense? Because you don't know people's heart. You don't know their thoughts. Ladies, you need to have good judgment. Because one day, you're going to have to pick a man, right? And when you pick that guy, according to the Bible, you're going to have to submit to him one day. And so, which means that you're going to have to follow his lead. It doesn't mean he bosses you around, but he just takes the lead. And he's going to be dad to your kids. He's going to be the one that provides for you, right? So make sure that you're using good judgment, right? Good judgment. And let me say this too, and this is just really something I'm just saying because it came to my mind as I was speaking, is that you also need to value yourself as a woman, right? I think one of the most attractive things, and this is what I was so super attracted to in my wife, was the way that she dressed modestly, right? You know, I've once heard it said that you see a lot of commercials for Toyotas, right? But you don't see any commercials for Ferraris, right? They don't need to advertise. And ladies, you don't need to advertise either, right? So if you have you have it all, you don't need to show it off, okay? People will notice you no matter what. But getting back to our point, guys, you have to have good judgment about ladies too. Because guess what? You're going to have to listen to them in the middle of the night, right? When they're talking like, I'm just so sad. No, I'm happy. I don't know what I am. I have feelings, and why aren't you listening to me? I am listening to you. But you're not listening to me. Well, what kind of other listening is there? Well, you're not responding. Don't interrupt me, right? Okay? So, think about that for a second, right? And remember, guys, just meet their moms and remember that whatever their moms are like is most likely what they're going to be like one day. Okay? So, judgment. Okay? Judgment. Judge. Use good judgment, right? It's okay to judge. All right, distance or cold. Have you ever thought maybe that when you're telling somebody about Jesus, that maybe it's not they're rejecting Jesus, but maybe they're just rejecting you because you're being such a punk about it, right? You're being mean, really, when you're sharing. We need to be kind with our words, we need to be gentle, and we need to be conscious of that. So, you need to get acquainted and familiar with people. You need to be a listener and place yourself in their shoes. Take their lives for a mental test drive and leave yours behind. Here's the thing. I think sometimes the reason that Christians come off so harsh when they're telling other people about Jesus is because they never stop to think about what is that person going through. Or they just are like, hey, can I tell you about Jesus? I'm like, have you ever sinned before? And they go down the script and they never ask them, like, do you believe in Jesus? You know? What are you going through? Is there anything I could pray for? Listen to people. Take some time to hear them out. And maybe they'll take the time to hear you out. Philippians 2:3-8 tells us about how Jesus, he came to earth and took on manhood, becoming a man, walked amongst us, had to eat, had to sleep, had to walk distances, and then died on a cross and died a human death. Jesus became a man and served man. We need to have the same heart. We need to be willing to come down to other people's level and serve like them. Not that we need to become ridiculous like them or whatever else. Well, maybe sometimes. I do when, with the youth ministry, we play games with you guys too. But come down on people's level where they're at, If you're a high schooler and you're trying to reach a junior higher, come down a little bit to their level and speak to them like that. Silence equals love. Jude 22-23 says, and on some having compassion, making a distinction, but others saved with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment defiled by the flesh. I love what Charles Spurgeon said. He said, if sinners be damned, least let them leap to hell over our bodies. And if they will perish, let them perish with our arms about their knees. Let no one go there unwarned and unprayed for. Sometimes I think that we have forgotten the cost. It says in Romans 10:14, how then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Like I said before, if someone's heading off a cliff and you do not shout, that's cruel. It's not love. And for you guys, if you're heading that direction, that's what I feel called to do. It's to be like, hey, look, the Bible's true. This is what it says. This is what you need to do in your life. Look, our motives will greatly determine our execution. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart will bring forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. Let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil. Cling to what is good. In other words, be sincere. Don't be a fake. Don't be an actor. People will see it. You know one of the hardest things about doing youth ministry and adult ministry is? You guys have like radar for fakes, right? Like it's like, boom, you can tell when someone's being fake, like immediately. I don't know what it is, but I think it's because being a teenager, it requires you to be fake so much to be able to survive in high school and junior high that you recognize when an adult's being fake with you. And so it's hard sometimes when some days I'm like, I'm tired, man. I don't know if I'm like genuinely really wanting to go teach tonight, right? You're like, you can see it. But when those times where I'm like pumped, I'm like, man, they can see it, right? Like, you know, I really want to share it with them, right? So when I want people to know that you're stoked about talking about Jesus, okay? Right, so be stoked about it. So what is love? Baby, don't hurt me, just kidding. All right, what is love? Jesus is our example of love. 1 John 3:16 through 19 says, by this we know love, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our life for the brethren. But whoever has this world's good and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of God abide in him? My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and truth. And by this they will know we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. So, people will know when you're doing it because you have to, or you're doing it because you want to. And listen, guys, people are hurting, and they need truth, and they need the Bible, and they need God, and they need love. And so we need to go out and share in love. And if any of you guys don't know Jesus yet, and you want to know Jesus, come talk to me about that. It's a simple thing to place our trust in him. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Is the junior hires, you're going to go home in 5 minutes. All right, sorry. We have cookies that will be busting out for you guys that you can have, right? You guys can take a cookie before you go so you have something happy before you leave. High schoolers, how many high